Welcome to everybody that's joining us now. And I am Scott Silz, one of the original Hot Mix 5, live from Logan Square in Chicago. And I am joined by my man, Sean Doc Rock from Hawaii, man, all the way out there. I've never been to Hawaii, would love to go out there. So that's why I'm doing this, so that I can get a hookup. So eventually I can get together and go see this man live.
Hey, well, you're welcome to come at any time. I'm sure James and I would be happy to take you all around the island and show you all of the cool stuff that we got popping over here. So that's automatic whenever you're ready.
I'm ready now.
Yeah, right. Unfortunately, we can't fly anywhere right now, so that's going to be the challenge right there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's absolutely going to be the challenge.
But I'm glad everybody is joining us today, and we wanted to try this technology out and give you guys a chance to ask some questions. I get a lot of people that hit me up on Messenger all the time asking, what are you doing? How do you do this? Where'd you get to play the video from? How did you get the overlays up there? How'd you put your logo up? Whatever the case may be. So I just thought we'd go live today and kind of explain some of the technology that we're using. And I'm really excited because we started this group like a month ago, and we are already over 1,650 members. So thank you guys for doing that. I think that's really cool. I started this group in order to help DJs when things kind of changed and we all went to a lockdown situation. It kind of leveled the playing field, and we needed to find an outlet to entertain. And you guys have jumped in, and I want to talk about Twitch today. I want to talk about some of the other formats, Mixcloud, etc. We are on Restream right now, so we are actually broadcasting where, Sean?
We are broadcasting from Restream, and right now it is currently going to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Yeah, so the technology is there for us to get the music out there, and I think we'll probably talk a little bit about the copyright issues, because that's been a major discussion, obviously, with pretty much all the streams. I mean, Twitch has been pretty good, but Facebook is tough. YouTube is tougher. I understand Instagram's got really tough. We have a great platform with Mixcloud because we're basically paying royalties to them. So the artists are going to see some money from that, which is great. And we'd love to see a way to make this work so that we can all enjoy entertaining and enjoy the music and promote the music, because in the end, for the record labels, I mean, they always came to us in the clubs and in the radio stations asking us to play their music, and that's what we're doing here, and yet they shut us down. So there needs to be a way to work around this. I mean, you want us to promote the music or you don't want us to promote the music. So I'm hoping that somehow, some way we can all get together and figure this out. But I think that's something we will definitely talk about today with Twitch and a few of the other ways that we can do this and build the audience. And that's really why we started the whole group. I mean, the idea of the group was to post up where you're going to be playing so your audience can find it. So guys, invite your friends, invite your fellow DJs, your family, listeners, whatever the case may be, to join the group so that you can post and tell them where we are located, and to be able to find the music. That's what this is all about, basically. And now we'll just share some of the technology to go with it. So Sean and I met like a month ago. We both kind of got into the streaming pretty much at the same time. And Sean is a really talented guy from New York, former DJ, still plays as a DJ, but he's into the streaming thing like I am. And he's taken it to another level. So he's very talented. If you get a chance to log on and check out some of his demos and unboxings and technical stuff, he's really good at it, okay? You can see how good he looks. Look at how big he is, and he's got me small. I'm sitting at the little kids' table over here.
My head is actually that large. My head is huge.
Right.
Although
all the DJs, the head is like this.
Yeah, although my head is not as big as James Cole's. His nickname is Straight Up Head.
Right.
Well, I think one of the things that we wanted to, initially do was sort of attempt to, I guess, clear the air on some of the things that, there's so much conversation going on around streaming and things like that. So it's it's a really, really popular conversation at the moment, and it's really no real rules, right? It seems to go sort of back and forth, like, oh, this is good, this is not. And you actually have TV, media, other celebrities out there like promoting the posts of guys like DJ Jazzy Jeff and D Nice and Questlove and these guys, and somehow their streams seem to go perfectly smooth. And then you got somebody who maybe started 2 years ago. He's playing the same music. He's in his house doing the same thing, and his streams last 5 minutes and bam, gone. So there's been some really good articles put out in various DJ oriented sites talking about things that you can do to help your streams. I know that since the pandemic happened, my buddy James Cole's there. He's been streaming pretty much 3 or 4 times a week, and it's been a constant struggle between either getting muted or getting kicked off. And yeah, I guess part of that conversation is weird. Like when the clubs are open, these guys come to us and they say, hey, can you play this? Can you spin this at the club, right? When we're all in radio, you got your Friday meeting, you open your box, you go through all your songs, and it's like, okay, yeah, we'll play that. No, we won't play that, and then you got to get on the phone with Tommy Mottola and be like, okay, yeah, we'll play that, but can we play it this time or that time? And they're like, no, we really need everything to come out on this day. There used to be this long conversations, and the A&R guys would be, coming to your office and telling you what to play. And sort of what the average person knows about music, especially dance music, comes from us. But yet we're getting flagged if we want to, play in our house because the club is closed.
Yeah,
it's a really strange conversation.
It is. At the radio station, I would have promoters. They would come in the building for sure every Monday. But, after they finished talking to the program director and the music director, they always came back in the studio and they dropped CDs off, vinyl, whatever the case may be. And, like, man, this is a great record. You got to check it out. Hope you bang this thing, in your mix show. They're asking you to play the record. Okay. And the record labels are sending me this stuff through record pools, whatever the case may be. I should be able to play this music. I'm promoting it. So again, go back and look at Napster. It was a mistake on the record label's part to kind of break that up with all the millions of people they had on there. I think the technology, the labels just can't keep up with it. I mean, they obviously did a good job with the bot because the bot catches you. So from my personal experience, this is just me, it seems like anything that's Sony or Warner seems to be what's going to get you. They have the strongest bots out there. And I will tell you, I've stayed away on a couple of mix shows that I did. I played like underground music, didn't play anything that I ever thought would be a Warner Brothers record. And sure enough, I get dinged and it's like, you played 40 seconds of this song. And I'm like, oh my God, why would you flag this record? This record will never be on a radio station. It will never be a mainstream record. The only thing you could ever hope for is to have this as a club record. So you've got to be begging every mix show DJ in America to try to play your record to sell this. And that's what I got dinged for and booted. And I was like, I was just blown away. So, I know that, we're all trying to do that. I think if you're playing Post Malone and you're playing, the core artists, the top 40, the hip hop records, you're going to get taken down. I mean, I'm off YouTube. They took me down quickly. Like, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 violations, but they didn't mess around. They cut me off. It was like, see ya. You're gone for 3 months. Come see us in the fall.
Here you go, Scott. DJ Edit, a.k.a. Ryan Masamoto. He said, yep, Sony, Columbia, Epic, Bad Boy seems to be the worst, which I find absolutely funny because if you're looking at like Bad Boy, we're talking a label of the streets. Like they supposed to know, right? Yeah,
but they got bought out. They're in with the big dogs now. So that's all Columbia, that's all, or Sony, whatever you want to call it, a CBS in the old days. But it's all the records that we grew up and loved. I mean, a lot of the great disco records, all the way up through, not so much the house era. The house era kind of moved to some other labels. But, obviously that's a label to stay away from, I mean, if you want to stay on the stream. The other thing a lot of guys say, if you're mixing really quickly, the bot doesn't catch you, or if you're talking over the songs, or, you're doing a trick with the record. So if you just keep it moving, the bot needs a second to adjust to kind of figure out what it's doing and if that's actually their record so they could say something. So, it's just one of those things. I mean, now, on the bright side, right now, Twitch is pretty much letting you play. So go on to the group, post on the group where you're playing, put your Twitch handle up there so everybody knows where to find you, and you can use that. Mixcloud, brand new service. I don't know. Most of you guys seem to be familiar with it. I've seen a lot of people post about going over to Mixcloud. It's a membership. I think it's about $15 a month, but they give you the first 90 days is free. So that's kind of nice. You can go try it. I think that their heart is in the right place. I mean, I think it's going to be a great service for us as it gets going and develops, but I think they kind of rushed it a little bit to help us out and to get on board while we're in this pandemic situation, and guys are looking for outlets and ways to play the music. So I think this is going to be a great format. I think it's got a little bit to go. Now, one of the things I hear a lot on Facebook, in the comments that I've read, a lot of guys want to be able to record their mix and keep it. So they want it to be a MP4 or a movie, whatever the case may be. So here's what I would tell you. Now, I am a Mac guy. I'm not big on PC. I don't know much about it anymore. I know a lot of the guys that are using PC are using this service called vMix, the application that they use. Now, a lot of you guys are using OBS, or you're streaming direct to the phone and going live or whatever. So a couple things you need to be aware of. I think most of you guys know it's all about the audio, because that's our business, okay? It's got to sound good. So a lot of guys have started using like an iRig. The iRig, that's fine. Now, what works for me and what am I doing? I actually had an audio interface. I had a Steinberg U22, I believe it's called, and I plugged it up through a mixer and routed it through this software that I'm using, which is called Ecamm Live. And this is probably the most amazing, easy to use software. I didn't need to learn programming. I didn't need to go through OBS and learn all this stuff. OBS is great. It's free. You can do a lot of stuff. And if you're a real tech kind of guy, you can get in the Mercedes, turn the key on and drive it, or you can go get in that Pontiac and you can play with all the wiring and tune it up and do what you got to do and get under the hood. And, you can have a lot of fun doing that. I kind of like to just put the key in, turn it over, and know it's going to work. And I've gotten to talk to these developers. This is how Sean and I kind of met, Doc and I, a couple times. These guys are great. These guys, believe it or not, now you guys are all audio buffs, so you know who Pro Tools is, right? So who's the mother of Pro Tools? That's Avid. These guys were programmers for Avid, so like they get it. These guys are good, and they're two young guys. They're quiet, geeky guys.
Twin brothers.
Really nice guys. And they come on once a month on, and do a live on Facebook and YouTube and answer your questions. And like they take your suggestions and you want to get in the beta program? You're in the beta program. Go download it. Have fun with it. Send me, if it crashes, send me the log, And this has been great. So these guys are like on top of this stuff. They're making changes like daily. You get updates. This is the most incredible. I mean, it's like if you buy it on a monthly basis, I think the Pro, now they got 3 accounts. You can get a free account, then you get the branding on there. I think it's $15 or $20 for the mid-grade. And the Pro, which gives you like some features that are unbelievable, it's $25. But you can buy it at a discount. So, you can get it for like 30% off if you buy it for the year. So, try it for a month or two, see what you think. I mean, it's incredible. That's what I'm using. I'm swearing by it. I'm living with it. And there's just a little stuff. You guys asked me how I did the multiple camera shots in the studio. I had like 2 or 3 iPads laying around and my iPhone. That's how I started. Now I've advanced. So right now you're seeing me, I'm on a DSLR. Well, I had the Sony camera. I had it for hot mix for doing events. And well, it started out that you had to buy this cam link and you had to buy a capture card and all this stuff. They've got it down to you can take USB and plug this thing directly into the computer and it works, and it looks so much better than even, an iPad or whatever the case may be. And your iPhone camera, they're awesome. Now, you could do this stuff wirelessly. You can do it plugged in. I've done it both. One of the guys out there that I've been following and really like, there are 2 people. It's Live Streaming Pros. If you get a chance, check them out. They are really tech savvy. One is a PC guy, so he will tell you all about the vMix. That's David. And Luria is the Mac person, and she uses Ecamm. So you got the best of both worlds. They both get it. They're bright. They're on top of this stuff. And if you're not following them, I highly recommend you guys check them out. And you can learn a lot. But he always suggested don't go wireless. And he's right. I could see I was having cameras cutting out.
You kind of don't want to do that. Just because of, well, okay, I don't know if you guys remember this. And if you do remember this, if this comes up, if you guys hear me say this and you remember this, please put it in the comments because it's funny to me. When Nextel first came out, everybody was in love with it. Nextel was cool, right? Could be, yo, where you at? But if somebody was to lean into the DJ booth with a Nextel phone in their hand, all of a sudden the entire club would go ring, tick, 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 tick. And it would be loud as S. Okay, we're gonna try to keep it clean though. It might be hard with a bunch of DJs around, but yes,
we get that at live shows. We'd be out at a wedding or something.
Yeah.
Somebody came by with the wrong
like,
phone.
Hey,
you know,
yo, dog,
like,
can you play that one song "Creep" by SWV? I'm like, it's TLC, dummy. But and then all of a sudden your whole system is ring, tick, 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 and no one even had to be getting a call. And so, although a lot of that stuff has been taken care of nowadays, it's still a possibility. So you don't want to have everything connected sort of via the wireless, right? This is something that James and I talked about because when he was doing the stream, every once in a while he'd get the stutter or the jitters. And, you know, I would be like, well, dog, you have a fantastic Ethernet connection, but you live in a highly populated area. And then so the neighbor can just be like, hey, today is Pornhub night. I'm going to just sit here and stream. And then, or the kids could be playing Fortnite or whatever, and all of a sudden, you know, his music sets would start to jitter at certain times. We're talking like on a Sunday night, and I'm like, yeah, it's Sunday night in a busy neighborhood, but let's get you a long Ethernet cable and plug that guy in direct. And the challenge was, you know, he was using his iPad, which is fantastic for this, but when you're using an iPad, you don't have a way to plug in an Ethernet cable.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I have that now. I've actually got an Ethernet connected to my iPhone and Ethernet connected to my iPad. So there are connectors. There's two connectors that you need to pull it off.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing, and I actually have two sets of that. So I ran Ethernet over to my system. I ran two wires over there, so I could put up two different sources. It was probably about $80 for the two connectors, ballpark, but not counting the Ethernet cable, and you know, if you needed an Ethernet extension box or whatever the case may be. But it's the two connectors. And I actually saw on YouTube yesterday, a guy had a really cool setup for the new iPad Pro, for the latest iPad Pro. He had this thing like rocked out. He had 3 USBs going to it. He had Ethernet going to it. He had everything. I mean, like, wow, I was like blown away.
This is how you do it. So this is a but actually, before I show this real quick, let me give a shout out to my man Judah, the line of Judah, because he was the first one to comment. Yes, he remembers this happening. We had a club here called Zanzibar, and he said, yes, that tick, tick, tick used to happen to him. But also, DJ Edit says, anyone live streaming should not be leveraging Wi-Fi, hardwired, that's the way. In Hawaii, we say, Bombay, you learn. And then the other thing he said, one thing that's very important to know, and a lot of people don't know this, you would talk about crossing Wi-Fi signals, they bounce over each other. And so what the average person does is they buy that router, take it out of the box, do the auto setup, and it runs. Now, the more modern routers, when they do auto setup, they channel hunt, and they check to see, say your neighbor's on channel 11, the other neighbors are on channel 8, it's going to slide you in at 9 or 10 somewhere. But some of the older routers or the cheaper routers, they don't channel hunt, and it will put you on channel 11 and the neighbor on channel 11, and then so you get this kind of crosstalk. And again, if all you're doing is watching Netflix, it might not be a problem, but when you're doing something like this or high-end gaming, it can be a problem. So that's a very good point, Edit. If you find yourself having issues over Wi-Fi, sometimes all you need to do is log into your router and tell it to change the channel. It's sometimes that simple. Anyway, this right here is a hyperdrive, and it's a little adapter that plugs onto the side of a iPad, and once it's in the iPad, you have access to USB-C and audio output, high-speed USB 3.1 Gen 2, and then two slot cards so you can put in an SD card or a micro SD card. So yeah, something simple as that, a lot of times, and this is not an expensive device, this is probably about $40, will allow you to sort of plug things in. And a lot of us just have these because this was for my Newmark console. My Newmark console did not like my iPad until I decided to get that thing. And then, you know, it seemed to work. Let me just check the comments real quick, Scott, before we go further.
I want to say hello to a couple people too and thank a few people. I mean, we've got a couple couple admins that have been helping us with the group. So Elizabeth Lopez, I want to say thank you. She's worked very diligently. Walt McFarland, same thing. Both of them constantly post the DJs that are playing. They really follow who's out there and what's going on. So, if you get into the group and you want to see like who's doing some really cool stuff, look for some of their posts. They share out all the time. They've worked really hard at doing that. My man Tony Rosales, one of the promoters, he's always a part of this, and he loves to follow everybody. And he definitely turns you on to some of the coolest events that are going on out there. My man Maurice Davis. Maurice is the man, great producer, and he's kind of the one that really got me to watch the streaming and see what was going on. I mean, when I first started, I didn't know I needed the audio card or a setup for that. I mean, it was pulling it off my microphone and was like, dude, you need to get your audio fixed. So, I mean, a lot of us started that way. This is all new technology for us. I mean, we all started on a level playing field during the pandemic. So it's kind of cool to see how some of these shows have developed. And I have seen some incredible, Juan Campo. Man, setup you put out, buddy. I mean, he was in his warehouse. I mean, I know he does some great stuff because he's a production guy, does events here in Chicago as well. But wow, that setup just blew me away. I mean, like, that was awesome. I mean, I wish we could put that up and do some serious stream events, which we can after everything settles down and we can all start getting together. And, that's coming sooner than later, I hope. But, some really great setups out there. I mean, Bad Boy Bill killed a few nights with some really big shows and got some tremendous numbers, lots of followers on those shows. So, it's really incredible what we can do with this technology. I mean, we are broadcasting all over. Here I've met Doc, and Doc is in Hawaii, and I've had other viewers from Hawaii on during my streams, people from all over the country. So I think it's really cool. I mean, it's a small world, and it just proves it all the time.
You want to hear a funny story, Scott?
I do.
way back in the day, my buddy James Cole, who's watching right now, he was doing a bunch of shows and stuff like that, and I used to always go and visit him, right? And I used to hang out with him and stuff like that. And he was like, man, I just got this tape, and you got to listen to it. This tape is incredible. These are the guys that we're going to be like. And I was like, I'm getting included in this, which was cool to me because at the time I wasn't doing anything. I was just a dude that always hung out at the club, hung out at the DJ booth, but I knew the voice was moist. And I used to tell James, hey, you got to talk to people. I don't like talking to people here. So he hands me the mic and he goes, you talk to them for me. And I was like, oh, okay. it means free drinks. I'm in. And then so I remember at James' house and we were going to just sort through records that we picked up from the record pool. Shout out to Kevin Okada, used to run our record pool out here. And he's like, you got to check out this tape. And it's this Hot Mix 5 guys from BMX. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, no, check it out. And then so there's you. And then another tape was Bad Boy Bill. And this other tape was Roger, who I forget what his DJ name was because it's been a while. And I mean a while because it's talking like 30 years ago. And and I just remember.
We should go for 39 years.
Okay, that's about right.
The reunion is this weekend.
And so I remember, like, man, this is incredible. And James is like, yeah, this is what we're going to be like. We're going to be like them. And at that time, I hadn't even thought about being a DJ yet. But James was already doing it. And then probably less than about 6 months later, we were doing our first mix show on the radio station here. With one of our buddies, Daniel J., who recently passed away. Big shout out to Daniel J. Love you, brother. And so, yeah, it was tribute to me that, we're like having this conversation right now. You and I are on Skype, right? And we're doing this shout out, to you guys. And I became a DJ because of James. James says, hands down, he became a DJ because of you. Like, you're, in podcasting, we say it's the pod father. You're his DJ father. And then I'm I guess your DJ grandson, even though we're almost the same age. I don't know how this shit works.
Well, I think I got a few years on you.
I don't know how this works, but it's crazy to me that we're sitting here now talking to a bunch of cats all over the world, and this started, because I jumped onto this Ecamm stuff and you happened to be there. And then I'm like, James, man, I've been talking to this guy, Scott. He's a DJ, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, Scott? I was like, yeah, it's Scott from Chicago. And he was like, Smoking Scott? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, You stupid. Do you know who that is? And then I was like, oh. So probably like a day later, you called me when I was on the way to the grocery store,
Yeah.
and I had like a huge fangirl moment. I was like, oh my God, Smoking Scott just called me Hercules, Hercules. So
you had this cool picture in a picture. This, they call it a pip, and I wanted one of these so badly. And Doc made one for me because he was doing a demo on how to do this stuff. I'm like, I gotta get one of these things. But I was really blown away by some of the demos that you've done, and that's how I ended up reaching out to Doc. I mean, that's how we got into this, and I was like, we should really talk about some of this technology because the guys are all asking for it. And, everybody wants to learn because, let's face it, this is all new for all of us. I mean,
everybody.
If we said, DJ, yeah, we know what a 1200 is. Everybody out there knows what a 1200. Give me a thumbs up if you know what a 1200 is, right?
Oh, yes, please
we don't
smash
know
the like
about
button,
all this
people.
streaming stuff, so now we do, and so we thought we'd share a little bit about this, and I think we'll get some guests on. I think we might talk about doing this again next week, same time at like 2 o'clock.
James said he got his 1200 right there. And
Yeah.
it's very important, people, if you're watching via Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching, make sure you give thumbs up and likes and comments, all of that stuff. We're going to try to figure out how to grow this show. And again, like I initially started the show, we got into talking about it. I didn't get a chance to tell you guys, but this is not Doc and Scott's show. This is your guys' show. We are the arbiters. I think that's the right word. We are the arbiters of the cause of DJs attempting to stream and DJs jumping into this technology type thing. So what we want to do is bring you what you want to do. Going back to one of my favorite scratches, give the people what they want, ladies and gentlemen, right? So we got to give the people what they want. So this is about you. So if you have things you want us to cover, topics you want us to cover, something you need us to promote, ideas, things we got to go through, let us know.
I'd be curious how many of the guys out there right now that are watching, do me a favor. If you're a Mac user, give me a heart. If you're a Mac user, give me a heart. I'm going to give you a second to do that. And then if you are a PC user, give me a thumbs up. If you're a PC user, give me a thumbs up. I'd like to get a feel for how many Mac versus PC users we have, because I will definitely look into getting somebody to come on and talk about the PC technology or the Mac technology and some of the other stuff that you guys want to do here or find out about. We'll reach out to some people and we'll get a guest on the show next week and make this happen. So really, I want to open it up for questions and answers. That's what we said this would be, as a Q&A. So if you guys have questions, Doctor, you got anything else we want to cover, or can we throw it out there now for some Q&A?
Yeah, we can do Q&A. I just wanted to check to make sure that I covered everything. Andrew got the Mac. DJ Edit says he's using both. That's out there. James Coles is using both, I know for a fact. And he need to go get a new Mac today. Deejay Technique, who came to visit us. What's up, Tech? Tech is also using a Mac. I had something that I wanted to make sure that we covered. Okay, so right now, this is our inaugural show. And like we said, right now we're planning to do this weekly. If it gets good, hey, we might be bi-weekly. It really depends on how things go. And, again, the whole point of this show is kind of to keep up to date just on the rapid changing movements in DJ culture and stuff like this. I mean, we all got stuck at home all of a sudden, And then so we have to do this. Now, I technically retired a year ago from like doing the sort of the club versions. Mac, please don't make bings in my stuff. And hi, Princess.
What's up, Miles?
And then so in the middle of doing that, but I started doing the streaming stuff a lot more. And I never even thought about, like playing the music out there. That's just not something I was really into. But, hey, it might be a thing because everybody's doing it. But what I do know is I know a lot of the technical stuff on the Mac side. And, the Ecamm thing is incredible. If you're a Mac user, you definitely want to jump on the Ecamm thing. We will get a Ecamm.
We have a link that you can post up. We'll put a link up, and you can get a free trial. I think it's good for like 2 weeks. So you guys can play around with this. And literally, it's easy. It's easy. And the technology is changing like every week. There's something new and new features. There's a couple things that are coming that will blow you away. Because how many guys out there are using Restream? Is anybody using Restream? Give me a thumbs up if you're using Restream. How many people don't even know about Restream or what it does? Give me a heart. if you don't know what restream is and what it does. We'll tell you a little bit about it and explain it to you if you'd like, because that is one of the ways that you can grow your audience really fast. But Ecamm is getting ready to release a version that's going to give you the opportunity to do that as well, and it'll be a part of, I think, their Pro package. So that's coming too. So basically, Doc, why don't you explain Restream? You are the Restream guy because he actually does the tutorials and everything for Restream. So I'm going to let Doc explain everything to you on this and how it works.
Okay, cool. So basically, what Restream is allowing me to do is take what I'm generating here on Ecamm, and Ecamm includes things like I have my overlay sort of right here. As you can see, I just popped up on the screen with the link to Ecamm. Ecamm is what I'm using to control this. And again, like Scott mentioned before, some of you guys using OBS, absolutely fine. If you're on a PC and you haven't got started yet, I would say check out vMix. vMix is the little bit more professional one. There also Streamlabs OBS, or Slobs as they call it. Slobs is very, very good. But I used OBS for probably about 5 years now, like since it first came out. Prior to that, I was on Wirecast and Wirecast Pro, and we're talking like a $900 piece of software, but I was working for AOL and doing streams for AOL at the time, so they paid for it. And then when our blog got absorbed by Engadget, most of us original guys didn't stick around. We didn't want to be part of the Engadget thing. So, you know, at that point, I started looking for what can I replace Wirecast with? And there was Boinks, Be Live, so I tried that. It's just like Wirecast, but yeah, even though I know Oscar and the guys over at Boinks, that didn't vibe for what we were doing on the Mac at that particular moment. And then I found OBS, and then OBS just needed love because it was open source software. And I absolutely love, let's get this straight, 108% love open source software. I think it's one of the greatest things. But one of the caveats behind open source software is when everybody is controlling it, things can get bifurcated and forked really quickly. That's when they call it when someone takes half and goes this way and another team takes half and goes that way, and you end up with two disparate, completely not functioning parts. And that sort of had happened to OBS. So then the Streamlab guys came in and go, well, let's tighten this up. So the Streamlab guys grabbed it and they fixed it, but they fixed it for PC only until about 2 months ago. And that has been going on for about 5 years. Streamlabs OBS is about 5 years old, and they have been PC focused because the majority of their clientele are gamers. So they, at that time, they finally decided to fork it back to the Mac. So Streamlabs OBS for Mac is available, as my homie DJ Edit cleanly points out here in this lovely comment. In the process of doing all of this stuff, I just happened to decide I was going to go re-download Skype call recorder for a podcast thing I'm working on with my buddy Marcus, who is also listening to us right now. He's not a DJ, he's my attorney. but Marcus and I were going to do sort of this podcast show, and then so I was looking at Ecamm call recorder, which I used all the time when I was working for AOL. I used to use it to record the calls during the podcast, edit that back together, and put together a nice cohesive podcast. And while I was on their page, I saw this thing that said Ecamm Live. And I was like, oh, I know those kids. They're pretty badass. Let me check it out. So I downloaded it, and I was like, oh, my goodness. It was literally the coolest thing ever because it was able to do all of the things that OBS can do, but without the constant headache and programming and rearranging and stuff like that. And I am fully capable of doing it, but just because you can, don't mean you should, right? Yeah. So now I can focus more on building the content and just put stuff out, because I'm not fighting OBS. And
put the key in the ignition, turn it on and drive, man. You don't need to build the engine so that you can go down the block
and
to
so
get a
your
soda.
analogy was on point, except for I would have said Beamer instead of Mercedes because, 5 Series is the way to go. I got a Hot Mix 5 in the garage over there. So it's basically just that concept of turning it on and just running with it. So that was what I wanted to do, and that's sort of how we ended up here today.
Yeah, I think, if you look, OBS to me, when I started playing around, because I was starting to dig into OBS before I got Ecamm, I was like, oh my God, this just does everything. All I got to do is hit the button and go. And it was pretty much that easy. It's like, oh, you want to do an overlay or something? Like you got a PNG file laying around, just drag it on. Oh, it's a JPEG? Just pull it on. Got a movie? Just pull it in. It's like it was too easy. It was like a Macintosh. It was like Apple. It was like, it's really simple. Like, you want to get rid of something? Yeah, you just put it in the trash can. Well, that's how easy this was. So I really fell in love with it, embraced it. And again, these guys are so available. And when I found out that they were from Avid, I was like, oh my God, these guys get it. These guys come from the background of music and video and everything else. These guys understand what we're doing. I like them.
So Andrew just caught my ADD full strength, and he wants to pull back to where we were going. Thank you, Andrew. I love you, brother. Basically, what Restream allows me to do is take what would have been my feed from Ecamm, which I normally would have either fed to YouTube, which Andrew's watching from right now, as you can tell by the icon when I throw something at, or to Facebook, which I can go to a comment like that. Okay, and so the option was one or the other. What Restream allows me to do is take this entire stream and feed it to them, and they take it and they re-stream. That sounds weird, but that's exactly what they do. And so currently it's going to my personal page, it's going to my YouTube page, it's going to the Facebook group, the event of the group, which Scott set up, which is the DJ's live streaming group. And again, if you're not a part of that, you're a DJ, just jump right in. There's nothing special. It's facebook.com/DJ live streaming, and it's allowing it to go to Twitch. And then with the Restream, I have the ability to see sort of who's out there watching, what everyone's doing. I can check the stream health, make sure everything is okay. I see lots of comments, coming back and forth over here. And so as we get this thing tightened up, it's going to be a little bit better. And, we'll add to more places, honestly, because now that I think about it, and I didn't think about this at first, I can probably even send it directly to Mixcloud, because I can send it to Mixcloud as an RTMP stream, which would be fantastic, because if we send it to Mixcloud, it's all the DJs in the world are there. So once they get their act together, we can even send this show directly to Mixcloud. So think of it as a live podcast, yo. We're like Sports Center, but we're DJ Center. Oh yeah, by the way, we don't have a name for this show yet, so that's up to y'all. Because Scott and I, it ain't work. We couldn't figure it out. So I just to say, I'm gonna put
we never figure out Hot Mix 5. That just kind of happened too. So we'll let you guys figure it out for us.
When you guys come up with a name, send it to us in the DJ live streaming group, and then we got it. Stream by us. I like it, Angie. That's good. Stream by us. That's dope. The Lion of Judah said, "Oh no." Oh no, as in the show name, or just oh no? Because,
oh no.
Thanks, Judah. Thanks.
And by the way, so like you're seeing the comments that come up on the screen. A lot of people ask me about how that works when we were doing the DJ streams, and actually it's a part of Ecamm. You're able to just bring that up. You could put a scrolling ticker across a lot of the stuff that we do. And I wanted to mention one other thing with regard to Restream. One of the beauties of Restream, it takes a lot of the stress off of your machine. If you were to open up all these streams, let's say on a Mac, even if you had 16 gig of memory, or RAM I should say, and you had a i7 or i9 processor, it would stress the heck out of your machine. I'm not sure you'd get through a half hour with all those streams going out. I mean, it takes a lot of horsepower. With Restream, you're basically sending one signal to them, and then they are taking it out and pushing it to all these others. So they're basically taking the stress off your machine. They are handling all that stress and heavy-duty computing so that you can actually get your computer to kind of get through this. Because I'm sure if you guys have done some streaming, if you got a Mac, the fans turn on, you're generating some serious horsepower. It's stressful on the machines. I mean, after about a half hour, 40 minutes, those machines get pretty hot. And then if you get some background activity going on, decides it wants to check Dropbox or go check your email or whatever the case may be, it may very well shut you down. So something that you might want to look at doing, Doc, tell them about that one app that you recommend. I just downloaded it 2 days ago, and it seems to be working great. But there is an app you recommend to turn off all the stuff going on in the background of your computer. So
yes, I will do that. First, let me answer a question that I saw in the Facebook chat. So for right now, and you guys have to excuse us, there's a situation where people that are chatting in the event, I have to monitor those chats differently instead of it showing up in the restream chat. That's something that I'll fix for the next show. Because normally what happens when anyone's typing in the stream, I should see it in my restream chat client, but for some reason that connection is busted, and I'll figure that out. So Vince had posed a question about what makes what makes Ecamm better than OBS, because he currently uses OBS now. So I'll answer that in just one second.
It's like a lot of guys are using OBS from what I'm seeing on here.
Well, because it's extremely popular, and well, it's free.
Yeah.
Let's just get it.
Yeah.
Let's put it out there. I'll explain that in just 1 second, Vince. So what Trip Mode does is a Mac application, tripmode.ch. It was designed for all of the guys out there in Europe. You know, when you're in a train, everyone has a little device like this that sits in your pocket. That's your Wi-Fi when you're on the train. Or you tether your phone so that you can use your computer as you're jumping from city to city. And what will happen is, say your Mac decided it wanted to do a system update, or it decided it wanted to do some iCloud syncing. You could run through your entire data package in seconds because in Europe, especially in the EU, a lot of the ISPs have data caps. In the US, it's not as common here, although Cox and Comcast do have data caps. If you're on Charter Spectrum or some of the other guys out there, Brightstar or whatever, they don't necessarily have caps. So we never really worry about it. And if we decide we're going to tether our device, we just tether our device. And so this application was designed so that if you were on a trip, you can say, okay, I want you to never let iCloud sync, never let Dropbox or Creative Cloud or, whatever file syncing services. Do not let any of this happen if you smell this particular Wi-Fi connection or this particular location. In your house, you can tell it, when I stream, I want you to stop the same applications. You're just in your house. You're not necessarily in train. So it's an $8 application that basically kills everything else on your computer that would be trying to do something internet related when you're not doing it. So that's what Trip Mode is. And to Vince's question, there's as a long conversation, I could do that as an entire show, but I would make it as short as possible. Scott alluded to it at some point where he stated it's kind of the thing where literally you install the application, you set up your scenes, and you go. Whereas in OBS, it's a lot harder to set up your scenes, and it's not impossible, but it's a lot harder. Building when you go into OBS and you add your stuff for your Facebook, it says, okay, I want to add 2 connect frames here and there. I want it to be 1920 by 1080, even though Facebook's going to squash it down to 720. You have to tell it like how many frames per second you're sending, and there's this like list of things that Facebook wants you to put in, and when you build that in OBS, you have to put that in. In Ecamm, it's automatic, right? Scheduling shows, you can schedule the post directly in Ecamm. You don't have to schedule it in 2 places, reconnect all the keys. Somebody mentioned early Armani, love the name Armani. Armani mentioned how Mixcloud, for instance, makes you use a new stream key every time.
Mm-hmm.
Ecamm actually goes out and grabs the stream key, pulls it back for you. You don't necessarily have to paste it in. Now, right now, there's no Mixcloud integration in there yet, but the boys are very active. And if nothing else, because you have an actual team working, right? It's the twin brothers, Katie, and a couple other folks there at Ecamm. Because they're working on it and not this open source thing where anybody can work on it at any time and there's really no motivation because it's not a paid situation, things get fixed when they get fixed. But in Ecamm, prime example, this is what made me fall in love with them instantly. I was in the middle of the trial. Now, I have 3 cam links, so I didn't need it. But I was looking in the group, and everybody was says, hey, pandemic happened. We want to run church service. We want to run our yoga studio. We want to run our DJ live streams. We want to run our school. We have a private school for kids. I work with, autistic kids. Like, I need to be able to stream, but I cannot find a capture card anywhere for the Apple computers. Everything is sold out. The boys was like, hold my beer. They disappeared for 2 days, and then 2 days later, it says, we don't need a capture card for this 50 cameras. If you happen to have a modern Sony, like I'm using the Sony A64 or my A7 or almost any of the Canons, a whole bunch of Nikons, Panasonics, Fujis, they're like, plug the USB cable in and it's going to work.
Yeah, it's not 1080 or 4K, but it's
but
way
it
better
works.
than like any of the webcams you're going to find.
And then so for that amount of love, hold on, Rodrigo, I'll tap this in while I'm finishing my explanation.
Yeah.
For that amount of love, for these guys to just say, hey, you know what, we're going to go ahead and fix this and make this work for our community as fast as possible. In the middle of a pandemic, they just said, hey, we got it covered, and they did it. And they solved the problem for thousands of people. Our Ecamm group and Ecamm community is about 7,500 people strong and growing. When I came into the group a month ago, we were at like 2,000 people, and now we're at 7,000 people.
Boom! It's blown up.
And the level of help that you find in that group from us helping each other, but even they're there. Like, I know that's hard to explain because a lot of the software that we use, you don't necessarily talk to them folks. You buy it and you pay them lots of money every month, Adobe, and you send them a question and they get back to you when they feel like it. But the Ecamm dudes, they're in there. So I just appreciate that level of love and support that you get directly.
Let me throw a couple things into your Ecamm, if you don't mind, Doc.
Yes,
I wanted
Robert,
to just
hold
jump
that
on
question,
it.
Robert. I will get right back to you.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, for you guys that were concerned that you couldn't record your show, if you went on to, say, Twitch, I never see clips in Twitch for mine on Restream. I've seen them once and they disappeared. I know that you're not getting a copy of your video on Mixcloud, but if you record an Ecamm, it automatically captures your whole show. So when we finish right now, we actually have a movie of this whole show, and it just does it automatically. And we could post it to YouTube immediately by clicking a button when we close the stream down. Yeah. So that's a really cool feature. The other thing is, we talked about the cam link, and I know somebody had a question on there, I forget who it was, asking about iRig. So here's the big thing. Nobody could get an iRig. You can't get any of this stuff right now. It's impossible with the pandemic. Everything, even the webcams, all the Logitech stuff, it's all back ordered. It's all stuck in China. It's in the middle of the ocean somewhere. Maybe we'll see it in another month or two. But in the meantime, I was having problems like figuring out what am I going to do here with audio. Well, one of the best things that happened for me was with Ecamm, it recognized my audio interface. So I had one for recording. So I had Steinberg, and it's just a USB audio interface. So if you have a USB audio interface that you've been playing around with at home for music or whatever, you can take that and connect through a mixer, and it will be recognized within Ecamm. So now you've got digital audio. I went from microphone audio, which I talked about earlier, to digital audio. Never got an iRig. I got an iRig. I actually let somebody else get it from me. Fawn Woods is enjoying it at WGCI. He needed one. So I hooked him up. So when I did get one, somebody sent me one, and I was like, okay, I got it. The other thing that I got that's pretty cool, and here it is. So I'm going to grab it real quickly from here and show you, because this is another little audio mixer. And this is, I think, way better than the iRig. Now, let me just say this. Facebook, it's really a mono signal. So you can put two channels in there. When it's all said and done, it's mono. It's 720 output. Your best video quality is coming from YouTube. Everything has been taken back. I mean, there's so much demand for bandwidth right now. Facebook's struggling even to keep everybody in all these streams going. So they've powered everything down as well. Once the pandemic ends and people go back to normal life, I'm guessing that the stream qualities are going to be going way up, just like we're seeing all these new meeting rooms coming out and everything else.
They do 1080 for gamers, but 720 for the rest of us.
So this is a little mixer. This is from Roland. Somebody got me. This is called a Go Mixer. Like Go DJ, Go Mixer. And it's basically, this plugs right into an iPhone or an Android. Look at that, no hands. It's just got the, what is it, light, what do they call this? The lightning cable?
Yes.
That plugs right into an iPhone. So this can plug directly in, and it gives you a mixer. So you can actually put several different inputs in. It's got some 1/4 inch. It's got 1/8 inch headphone monitor. Another lines over here, more lines over here. So you could probably plug up 4 or 5 different items into this. It's a digital mixer, and boom, you're on the air. with great quality, because I actually did use this one night from the other studio. It also comes with the connectors for Android, so this works whether you're iPhone person or you're going Android. Either way, these are about roughly $100. They make a little bit better one also that's about $150. But guess what, guys? Getting anything at the straight price right now is not going to happen, because there's nothing out there. Everybody's getting a few bucks more. Guys are paying more for stuff because there's no choice in the matter. I mean, I was on CDW last night looking for some stuff, and I was like, wow, that's like 30% over retail. Yeah, if you want it, you got to pay for it, because there's nothing out there. So, it is what it is. If you've got stuff, that's why I say if you go with Ecamm and you've got an audio interface, you can have the digital audio quality even if you don't have that iRig. And again, the iRig is single channel, which is fine. You're going to Facebook. But if you are broadcasting to the other services and they are stereo, you're only sending a mono signal out. So is that accurate, Doc?
Yes.
What I'm saying?
Yes, that's absolutely accurate. I'm going to answer a question real quick. Let me pull up this thing. First of all, I saw one that was very good. Oh, Robert said, how far can you go on a USB cable from your camera to a PC? In theory, about 10 feet, right? But there are longer cables. But as in anything, the shorter the cable, the better. There is a company called Tether Tools that makes USB cables designed for camera guys. So if you're out there shooting, you've seen the photographer and you've seen the backdrop, and it's the model for the Vogue setup, and they're out there.
That's what I have here.
And they're like, "Ooh, can you smile? Can you smile?" And they're connected, and the Mac is right there. That's a Tether Tool cable. So it's designed to handle that length. As far as I've known in tests done by Verge, Tether Tools has been able to go 75 feet because they use a special booster in line. So the cable itself is about $30. That booster, I believe, is like $80. So you can run the two and you can go like 75 feet. So
this one is 20 or 25 feet. I think it was about $42 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for the 25 Tether Tool.
I was lucky. I got it from a camera store because you can't even get these.
Yeah.
But I did get a cable. I was at Micro Center and I got what's called a USB extension cable. So for one of the iPads, I was able to take the cord that came, or the cable that came from Apple, and plug it into a USB extension. And that's what I was running on this camera, which is what I run on my Sony when I am not using the Cam Link, because now I have a Cam Link. So one of my computers, they're both older machines. This is a 2013. My MacBook Pro is a 2011, but it's an i7. It's a 17-inch MacBook Pro, so it's still pretty good quality, but it doesn't recognize a Cam Link. I cannot run that on there. So if I run my Sony camera, I have to run it just straight USB. It's not the same quality. But today, like right now, I'm sitting here. I'm on the iMac, an older iMac, and it reads the Cam Link just fine. So today I get to use the Cam Link. But we're on Skype. I don't know, how's the quality on the other end. You guys tell us. Does it look okay? I mean, yeah. I mean, so we're doing our thing, man. We make it happen.
Here, let me cover this real quick. So somebody asked about how much is Ecamm. So right now, what you guys are watching on the stream is Ecamm live webpage. And yes, you can download Ecamm and get started for free. There is a link that I posted on the bottom of the lower third that basically will take you there. Once you decide that you want to jump in and pay for Ecamm, there's standard, which basically runs about $12 a month on a yearly, or $15 a month if you pay monthly. And then there's professional, which is $20 a month if you go yearly, or $25 a month if you go, month to month. The major thing that Pro gives you, to me, the love feature, number one, everything we're doing right now, you're seeing we are using the Pro version. But the major thing that Pro gives is this situation right here. And let me see if I can click to embiggen this. It's hey, come back. It's a virtual webcam. Okay, so what this feature right here, virtual webcam, allows me to do, if you are like my buddy DJ Flo, he has a virtual nightclub event in Zoom with like 250 people deep. And he's doing all of the stuff you see with the overlays and the two head up and and bringing the graphics in by using Ecamm's virtual web camera directly into Zoom. I am feeding my Ecamm feed to Skype. So Scott, who is my Skype guest in this particular instance, can see exactly what you guys see without on his computer having to watch the feed. And a lot of folks don't know this, but if you try to watch the feed at the same time you're trying to broadcast and your computer don't have enough BIS, then that's the first time you run into trouble, right? Because like for right now, I am monitoring the feed on Facebook, but I turned the resolution down to like 144. Because if I leave it at full speed, it's going to go crazy and start like, herky jerk all over the place. Now, the other thing that Pro allows me to do is stream at 4K, which YouTube accepts, nobody else at the time. And this widget overlay is also key for you DJs. Okay, everyone, if you don't have a notepad, get a notepad, pay attention. In our setup right now, in my regular shot, if I go over here, I have a little box down here in the corner, which you can't see, that's off camera. But if someone were to go into like YouTube right now, if I got a new subscriber, it pops up right there. If you got someone donated to the link that I have set up in the post, if someone was to put in a donation, their name pops up right there. So it would be like James Cole's just donated $10, and it would like and there's bells and whistles and all this other cool stuff. So that pops up in the corner, and that's how you folks make that extra money. So although you'd have to pay more for the Pro account, if you're doing it right, it's going to be a wash anyway. Because
I'm going to hold you to that because I don't have that yet, and you're going to have to install it for me. So Doc, that's going to be another conversation.
Super simple to set up, and this is, for people like DJ Edit and some of the other guys that are out there who are doing this stuff on Streamlabs. That's a Streamlabs widget. I'm basically taking the widgets that I had in Streamlabs and OBS, and I can apply them directly here. And one more thing that they do is they provide you with audio monitoring, cross-posting to Facebook, so it allows you to go to more than one group if you have more than one group. And the other key element is having a live confidence monitor, which means you can take an HDMI feed out of your computer and you can see exactly what everyone's seeing. So Pro definitely brings some pretty neat things to the table, if you will. But the regular one for most people will get you along absolutely fine. You just won't be able to see those donations and those likes and that stuff that pop up, which you kind of want to have so you can turn around and be like, hey, got to send a shout out to Brandon Naval because, he asked a good question, and then he would show up on the screen. So when I hit that button, this comment thing that you see I'm doing, that is part of regular Ecamm. That's something that's a little bit more tricky in OBS. You have to basically look at all the comments.
And I'll tell you, I've taken this now to another level with my business because I used to have clients that would come into the office. I am really going to make the transition now, and I did it today. I sold an event for for this September actually, but the clients, I just did everything with the webcam. I did it through Skype, through Zoom today, and I was able to show everything to them. It was like being in person. And bam, it looked really professional. I think it's as good as having clients come into the office, basically. Other than being able to shake their hand, that's about the only thing that you can't do, and offer them something to drink. But, it really works out great. You can show them everything. You share everything. You've got all your branding there. You can even have things that they don't know about in the background so that they will ask you about it, which I thought was even better. And Doc, where did you go? Did you just disappear?
I did that so I could try to roll around.
Oh, okay. I'm
trying to find my bottle opener because I need to drink this.
Oh, yeah.
It's in my office somewhere, but it's not.
Twist cap.
Hey, I'm a bougie with the Topo Chico. All my Latinos represent.
There you go.
There's nothing better than Topo Chico.
From the bodega in New York, right? From the bodega.
No, this is a Mexico swag right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this comes from Monterrey, Mexico. So all of the West Coast people, they all about the Topo Chico life. And Topo Chico, way above Perrier. Perrier is for the bougie French types. Us Latinos, we drink Topo Chico.
A special guest because she's a rock star here in Chicago. Everybody knows Frankie. So Frankie is down in the office joining me today. I got to show.
Frankie Knuckles?
This is she. This is Frankie. This is my girl, my puppy that everybody knows about. So
I gotta send I gotta send a shout out to Chad from DJ Mag House Nation. Um, he has some really good comments going on over in the Facebook side. For again, I'm sorry that it's broken, but we'll get it fixed because normally they would just be able to pop up on stream. And he's talking about the iRig and some other cool stuff. So there's great conversation happening in the DJ live streaming group. Again, so we ran for basically an hour. So what I want to do, because I got work to do, we're going to wrap this up. But big ups to everybody for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, for our first crack, we did pretty good. Let me check out some restream info to see how we did. We got stats over here, so I can see how we did. A lot of folks came in, a lot of good conversation. People from all over the world, so I can't wait to see the stream map that sort of lets us know where everyone came from, because that is amazing to me that here we are in the middle of something as crazy as this pandemic. We two old guys, and I mean old.
Hey.
Okay.
It's only a number. It's only a number.
Two vintage guys. Two guys that started with Akai reel-to-reels and tape to actually cutting with actual tape. We're able to bust up a couple of cameras, two Sonys, by the way. Buy a Sony, just trust me. Two Macs, two cameras, two copies of Skype, copy of Ecamm, and sit out here and talk to all of you folks for an hour about what's popping in the DJ and live streaming community. Again, Scott and I just decided to do this, but this show is for y'all. So what you want to hear about, what you want to talk about, all of that stuff, we need you help us come up with a show name so we can get the social media accounts, so that we can get, logo popped up and of course some merch so everybody can rock the shirt that say, I'm in this cool DJ group, anything that we can do to keep this together, because it's about us right now. And for those of us who worked in the clubs, James can speak on it too. You remember club guys, they think they run the show? Hey, it was always us. So this is a chance for us to shine, It's on us. We're going to keep y'all entertained, and we're going to keep you with the popping information. I do want to send something that just came out. I haven't had a chance to test it, but there's a new Cleveland Terry. I don't know if you guys know DJ Cleveland Terry. He's pretty hot out there on YouTube. He popped up this new thing that is going to take the place of Black Hole and Loopback. And it just came out yesterday, but it's supposed to be a piece of Mac software that you can install that will automatically allow you to run your set without having to buy any additional DJ hardware. So the iRig and all of that, which DJ Mag Chad was just talking about in the Facebook group, you won't even need that according to this. And I meant to have it on my notes, and somehow I lost it, but it's
right. We got to talk about that new Sony camera that released yesterday. Yes.
So I want to be able to, in next week's show, I want to get into that new Sony camera, which seems legit for guys that are just starting with something, because it has that built-in webcam interface and all of that.
Yes, creator camera.
Yes, DJ Edit. It is better than Loop. Well, I won't say it's better than Loopback, but Loopback's a hundo, and this thing is like $20.
Nice.
And so I'm trying to search and talk at the same time. But the main part of this conversation is I need you guys to think of a good title for the show, so we can go out and get all of the socials and the domain name and all of that stuff. And, again, send us any feedback. What could we do better? What are we missing? How can I make Scott look as cute as me?
That's not going to happen.
Okay, it's called Spin Stream. That's it. Spin Stream.
Do I look better now, Doc? Am I catching up to you?
Hey, I like it. Hold on. Let me get this link. I'm going to pull this website up real quick so you guys can go check for yourself. I'm going to reach out to them and tell them that we want to talk about this for our group, because this might help. And Scott, I forget, because I forgot the numbers because you only made me admin recently. But for a group you started a month ago, I think we're up to like 2,000 folks, close to it.
1655 before we went on the air today. 1655.
All right, so here's the challenge to you cats that are listening right now, and to the cats that'll be listening and kittens. So let's not forget our female DJs, DJ Betty, my homie.
Yeah.
Send that DJ live streaming Facebook group to all of your friends that touch wax and CDs, even the cats that do USB keys. We're not hating. We want everyone, that was a little soft shade. We want everyone out there, drag another DJ or 3 into the group, because the bigger the group gets, the better it is for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And really, the one thing we want to do is we want to put some pressure on these record labels to let us broadcast that music. So, that is really
the more
the
leverage
purpose
we
here.
have.
We will have some leverage to be able to pull that off and get some sort of a deal. And I would love to get, we have to get to somebody that's probably, I don't know if it's going to be licensing music or whatever. We're going to have to get somebody like that to talk about it and see what the deal is. The bottom line, it's going to come down to dollars. And if they see the revenue stream is there, which I got to think that the potential is there. Either that or a Spotify or a Tidal or one of those companies coming in and allowing us to do something like this would be very cool. So we'll see.
All right.
Facebook can certainly afford to do it. It's just what they can negotiate. I understand even that TikTok is having some problems now with audio because, that's their whole format is based on, audio and music videos, and they're getting some flack. So it's going to get interesting.
Oh, yes.
The record label's got to come in and work with people.
And all of the guys doing IG lives, if you're using Yellow Duck or whatever, it's
you're
cool,
gone.
You can get ghosted real quick.
You'll be banned. Yeah,
what
they
do we
don't play
say?
around.
You can get 86th. Okay, check this out, guys, real quick before we get out of here. The name of the software is called SpinStream. I don't know what's up with the capital M. They're at spinfluenceit.com. I did post a link into the live chat for the actual feed here, and then just for everyone else, I'll post one more in this spot. Click, and then I'll post one more in this spot. Click, so that you guys can get a chance to check it out. Anyway, it's like $20, and supposedly it gets rid of the need for these extra cables and the iRigs and all this other stuff to do your stream. So I'm gonna get that installed and play with it. So for next week's show, we can get you there. Now, don't forget, we're going for right now, just to keep it simple. Next Wednesday, 9 a.m. my time here in Honolulu. It's 2 p.m. in Hot Dog Town. Is that correct, Scott? We started at 2 for you?
Yeah, 2 p.m. Chicago Central Time, whatever. So CST, 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
So we'll do it again next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate you taking the time and checking us out. And hopefully it'll be even better next week. We'll work on getting some guests. And Doc, thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm glad to have you. Great job as always. And everybody else, send your comments and look forward to talking with you next week.
Okay, now real quick, Scott, how can they find you on the internets if they need to find you?
So hotmixentertainment.com. That's my website. And you can get me on Facebook, of course, Scott Silz. You'll find me there, or just get me in the DJ's live streaming. Send me a message if you need to. I'm pretty accessible, and I'd love to hear more about what you guys would like to see on the show.
Real quick, Judah, I will send you an invite as soon as this is over. But if you just look in Facebook, I believe it's just Facebook,
DJ's with an S. DJ's live streaming.
Exactly.
DJS live streaming.
Yes, and then I'll if you go ahead and say you're in, I'll add you right away. No problem. You're in. Again, all of the DJs out there, I'm Doc Rock. You can find me at DOCROCK on almost the entire interweb. And if you're going to jump into this game, I'm going to have lots of tutorials. I have a bunch of stuff up already about Ecamm and that. Jump over to my YouTube joint, and that is, here, watch this, Ecamm for the win. It is youtube.com/DocRock. You can find me there. Jump in the comments. This post will go on YouTube anyway, so it normally takes them about a day to process the live stream and put it back up. So if you missed it, or you know somebody that should have watched it and missed it, send them the link, share it up.
It'll be on Facebook.
Again, we're ready. And then, it'll also be on Facebook too. So, next week, fam, we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good week, guys.
Great conversation, great people out there. Big shout out to the cats that just showed up. And Armani, I will send you a private message to explain what you just asked me, because it was late and I got to go. Anyway.
All right, have a good week, everybody.
Aloha,
Talk
fam.
to you next week at 2.
All right, great.
Aloha.